What's up, business nerds? Welcome to Home Service Happy Hour. Which button do I want to hit? No Jai today. I'm producing, I'm hosting, and I'm mostly monologuing. We're talking about goal setting today. I think I'm going to hit this button here.
Welcome to Happy Hour, brought to you by Best Damn Bookkeeping.
Oh, shit, I got to do the playing music button, too. Hit it. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, now we're making a show. Now it's for real. Jai usually puts us live on the radio. I wonder if I can do that. Let me see. We got a good monologue for you guys today. Oh, there we go. I think I'm on the radio. I did it, Hecubus. I did it. Here we go, guys. We're gonna turn this damn music off. Who turned this thing on? I'm monologuing today. I might have somebody join us, but Angela's on an airplane doing something. Sean's got softball with the kiddo. Gregory is at Michael from Cook Ourselves at a mastermindy thing for EO. And Rob, I think Rob's at one too, because I talked to him yesterday and he sounded like he was somewhere. So that's all right. I got something in store for you guys. I even have notes, mostly like bullet points. Notes is like overselling it, but I got bullet points. And this is the thing I've been putting some thought into. And I was on Ryan Lee's Landscape Lighting Secrets podcast a couple weeks ago. And I told him, I was like, hey, this is going to be like, a comedian when they want to try new material, they go up on like an open mic night and bomb. And I was like, Ryan, I'm going to try some new shit and I'm going to come on your show and I'm just going to bomb. And that new shit that I'm trying is some content on goal setting. You guys know me. I pretty much talk about finance stuff on this show. Obviously, if you're new to Home Service Happy Hour, our afternoon happy hour edition, this is just kind of like normally a panel style show. And we're just BSing, having fun, talking about business stuff and what's going on in the world and AI. And we do segments, right? It's a radio show. We do segments. Today's gonna be a little different because it's just me rolling solo. But I still like to get into some like nerdy, whatever stuff. And one of the nerdy things I'm really getting into is all around goal setting. And I'm getting into it because I see it done poorly very often. And when I say I see it done poorly, I mean, I see it ends up being like self-defeating. Like people are setting goals and it's causing them to be less happy because the goals aren't focused on the right thing, or they don't achieve them, or they achieve them and then they have a major letdown because it was like a one-time thing. So I'm framing up some thoughts around how to set goals that actually make you happy. One of the things that, there's those sayings that like come and everybody's like, yeah, this is like the thing, and then we're all going to say this thing together. And then eventually you're just like, man, that's just really annoying. A good example is work-life balance. Just really annoyed with that one. It's like, it's not a balance. You just do both at the same time. The other one that I'm especially annoyed with is it's all about your why. You got to find your why. And I'm like, man, if it was that binary, right? And I'm like guilty as charged. I've also said that and talked about my why and framework, but the truth is we have like 100 whys, right? And a lot of times our whys are just like shallow and we don't even know why. We just feel like we get the why is because you asked me, because I have pressure to come up with a reason why I do what I do. And so that's my why. And everybody says it's their kids or their spouse. And it's like, well, yeah, no shit. Of course it is. Like, that's not groundbreaking. But there is one like human truth that I think is important in there, which is, your why, whatever it is, which is probably like 100 different things, but it all centers around joy. Like, what makes you the most happy? And if it's being around your family, which for so many of us it is, then that is the thing that brings us joy. And therefore, like, of course, that's going to be the thing we focus on. Now, I do see it go sideways. I know people that have lost their families because they've gotten so obsessed with the thing that they thought their family wanted from them, which was work more and make us more money. But in reality, all their family really wanted from them was them and not necessarily more money and dad being gone or mom being gone or whatever. And so sometimes my point being, sometimes our whys can mislead us. Like we think we're doing the right thing, but we're not. And so after a decade in the corporate world and then running somebody else's business for 6-7 years and having to exit that because I couldn't buy it from them. And in both cases, I really left due to not being happy. And I think that's the most important thing I have found is that, yeah, you got to make some money, but way more important is your goals always need to be centered around bringing you joy. And just in general, if you are happy and joyous, other people around you will be too, right? And if they're not, you're going to exit them, right? You don't want that bad energy. So hell, that should be your goal, is get rid of anybody that's bringing negative energy into your life. But that was one of the important things I found for me. And I'm not saying this is going to be the exact same for you, but I think the reason is, the reason being getting that, like, the joy and the happiness, right? Not the dopamine, but is it the cortisol? What's the thing that's like long lasting and not just immediate drug hits? Hold on. I gotta make a note on my sheet. Because I have a note specifically for this, and I wanted to bring up the dopamine hit versus I think it's cortisol. Somebody throw it in the comments. Is that the thing? I Google search it right now. I should have searched it before. But I think we're looking for that long-term happiness, and in our businesses, like, that's what we need to find. Like, what is it? What part of running our businesses, what role in our businesses, what support in our businesses makes us the most happy? Because I see people make a lot of money in their businesses or not. And it doesn't actually equate to happiness. Usually the happiness is after a hard day of accomplishing stuff. And yeah, they're for-profit businesses. So of course we're trying to move the needle, grow revenue, increase profit. But when we get there and get the more revenue or the more profit, I talked to a guy today that is starting to hit his first couple like 6-figure months. And he's like, man, I thought this would feel different. Like, I'm not happy here. And I was like, you will be, right? But right now you're still in the chaos of running like the most painful business, which is $1 million business. They're a pain in the ass to run. And so the accomplishments and the sense of pride and hard work and getting somewhere will like make you happy. The pride is the thing that makes you happy, but the $100,000 doesn't make you happy. That just creates a whole new set of problems for you to have to solve. So anyway, I think that lends me to this goal discussion, because so many of us set that goal to hit $100,000 a month, make $1 million a year. It tends to be a financial goal, and it tends to be a static goal. And I'm going to differentiate here between a static goal being like I'm going to get to this spot, like this mountaintop, versus a recurring goal, which is an ongoing, never-ending target goal that you keep fighting for and keep fighting for and keep fighting for. And I'll tell you later which ones I think are better. But I'm going to back up for a sec, because as I've been thinking more and more about goals and the goals I've had in my life and the ones that worked and the ones that didn't. And again, when I say the ones that worked, I mean the ones that like brought joy and happiness and were actually meaningful, like actually helped me achieve something. One of my first like very intentional interactions with goal setting was high school football. I remember at the beginning of the year, Coach Harvey would ask us, like, as a team, what are our goals for the year? And I always thought it was kind of funny, because all we came up with were things that were largely out of our control. And we're so far down the road that there's nothing we could even do in the short term to like make them happen, right? Be like, win a state championship, win the division, beat this team. The goal, like, those all sound great and dandy, but that's like saying I'm starting my business and my goal is to be a $10 million company. It's like, that doesn't but that doesn't do you any good in like getting there. It's just some shit that you say. And And it turned out in those football goals, yeah, that was just all shit that we said. We didn't achieve any of those things because there was no behavior to accomplish those goals, right? Like the goal itself didn't have any functionality to it. It was just like, hey, I guess we're supposed to like dream big, and so we should just say some shit that sounds cool. But there's nothing, there's no like behavior we could do in the short term. What would have been more meaningful would be like a goal of everybody is in the weight room 80% of the days in the summer, right? That would have been a useful goal. Or 99% practice attendance, or we put in this many hours of practice. Or like something where it's a controllable, we get to have a say in this thing. We all know the end result we want is to win the state championship. Of course, that's not the goal, right? That's the end result. The goal has to be something you can actually influence. There's a whole lot of shit that like that sounds great to say we want to win a state championship, but it doesn't actually help us do anything, right? It doesn't give us anything to do today to get there. And so I realized, and like I kind of knew that at the time, but I couldn't like frame it up. I was sitting in that room like, this is just so stupid. And I kind of think our employees probably think the same thing sometimes when we're like, our goal is to get to 1 million. And they're like, and then what? Like, so like now what? JC checking in. JC, I'm monologuing, man. I hope you enjoy me from 15,000 feet. We're talking goals today. We're talking goals, Jared. And so those football goals I actually found what started to become like self-defeating. And I see that in business and I see that in athletics, where when people set static goals, set those like goals, I'm going to try to get to this point. I'm going to try to get to this mountaintop. I see two things happen, which is either you come up short and you get like a massive disappointment, or you get there and you accomplish your goal and you get this like one-time dopamine hit of we did it. And then there's nothing left, right? And so you end up with like a letdown, and it's this like thing it becomes a drug that you have to like keep chasing and keep chasing. It's not a prolonged happiness, not a prolonged joy. It's like either a feeling of letdown because you didn't accomplish the goal, or you accomplish the goal and then you hit a now what, and there's no follow-up dopamine hit, so you got to like try to create another one. I had Dan Young on my late night show last week from Service Pixel, and I think it was him. He's like, I think I'm going to create a dopamine clinic. Like we're all going to have a dopamine problem because our life is centered around getting these like drug-like dopamine hits, and it's going to kill us all. So I'm going to do like a dopamine clinic to help people wean off of their dopamine addictions. It's like funny, but true. Right. And I think goal setting has that risk of, we set these one-time goals. We either miss them and get disappointed, or we hit them and have a letdown. We get our dopamine hit high of like, woohoo. And then the next day it's like, well, now what? And so I think that's where like the value is here is we've all been there. We've all done that. And so how do we set goals differently and more intentionally to make sure that we don't have that letdown, right? And how do we do it for our teams? Because it's frustrating, and we've probably all been there too, where like we set a goal for the team, we set the static goal of, hey, we want this many clients, or we want this much revenue, or we want to hit this target. And if we don't get there, like I've seen it in my own businesses where we came up short of one of those static goals, and man, it just takes the wind out of your sails. It is so self-defeating. Like everybody is like, oh, we missed the bonus, right? Because the bonus was tied to the goal. Now we don't get a bonus. And it's like, it becomes something that's demotivating instead of the thing that's supposed to inspire us to get there. Or even when we got there, then it became an expectation of, well, every time we hit $100,000 a month, we're supposed to get a bonus, right? Like it became toxic to the culture in a weird sort of way. And so I question this thing. And again, this is like content I'm working on here. So I don't have this all vetted out, but it's just an observation I've had. Like, damn, that can be so self-defeating in any way, in either way. And so some of the mechanisms to think about as far as other ways to do this or how else it plays in your business. One place that I see this play out where we have an opportunity to properly distinguish goals is to keep your goals versus your budget as two separate things, right? A goal can be static. I'm not saying don't use static goals. And I don't, again, I'm working on the content here. I got to think through more of like the when static goals have a place versus when recurring goals make more sense. And I'll talk more about that again. But a budget isn't like the shooting for the moon thing, right? Your budget is what you expect to happen. I just golfed the last few days and yeah, my goal is to shoot 5 under. But that's just not reality. It'd be a cool goal to shoot really low, but after I triple bogeyed the first hole, now what? Right? My goal is out the window. A budget is more like what we think is most likely to happen. And so when you golf, that's super important is you're like, yeah, I could go right for this pin, but it probably makes sense for me to hit to the right side of the green and try to 2-putt from there. Because if I go for this pin, there's a really good chance I end up with like 2 freaking penalty strokes, right? And the goal is going for the pin. Yeah, I want to hit it in that hole. But the budget is the plan of how we're going to like get there. And in reality, we're not going to hit it right into that damn hole. We're going to have to hit it over here and then play the hole this way to give us the best chance of being successful. And that might not look like 5 under par. That might look like 5 over par. And so I think that's an important distinction of keeping a budget for what is most likely to happen, given and budgeting is its own art. Budgeting is a bit of what happened last year, a bit of what you want or what you think is going to happen, a bit of what you want to make happen and where you want to improve, and then a little bit of what you think the world is going to do. What's the economy doing? What's your market doing? So budgeting is this like mashup of expectations based on past and future. The goal is more influenced by what you want to make happen, right? The budget is more influenced by the outside forces and trying to find the sweet spot. The goal is higher than the budget. The budget is, this is what we expect to happen. We're going to like do okay. We're not going to do great. We're not going to do terrible. We're going to do okay. And this is like assuming good things and bad things happen in equal proportions. The goal is more like, let's look at the world if nothing bad happens, right? We don't want it so far out there that it's unattainable. Like I said, these goals can get really self-defeating, but we don't want it so low that we pass it and then it becomes self-defeating in the other way of like, oh, well, now what? And so I think that goal versus budget, like think about that. And then when you're looking at goals, think static versus recurring. And by that, I mean a static goal is like this much revenue over this period of time, or this many clients, or I want to have this many trucks in my fleet. Those are all set up to be self-defeating goals, again, because they rely on a dopamine trigger of like either a disappointment, like we didn't hit it, or a woohoo, we did hit it, and then a now what and a letdown. And so I challenge you to think of what are the recurring goals in your business where the goal persists. It never goes away. It's always something to be striving for. And so when you're off goal, you're working back towards it. And when you're there, you're trying to stay there. I mentioned this I think it was last week, talking about metrics and how my favorite metric is client attrition. That is such a good goal. We have a 0 client attrition goal, and 0 is really hard to do, right? People are going out of business. People are, we don't really like lose any clients due to lack of service, but we graduate some people where they like bring it back in house. And so we're always looking at that client attrition, and it's rare that we hit 0, but that goal never changes. We're always trying to hit 0. We never want to lose a client for any reason. And it's like the North Star, right? It is the guiding light. It's like every time we lose a client, we scrutinize the shit out of it. What could we have done more? Was it a sales issue that we sold the wrong type of client, that we should never even had them as a client in the first place? Was it a service issue that we didn't deliver what we said we were going to deliver? Was it a change in the business environment that, hey, we used to be useful to them, but now they're doing 4 million and they're going to bring it in house and just hire somebody locally or internally or whatever the case is. Or like, did we fuck up? Right. And so you're always looking at that because we're constantly trying to get back to that goal of 0%. It never goes away. And so there's never a now what. Like the now what is, hey, let's get it this next time. Right. And so it's a goal that we can constantly be controlling and constantly be scrutinizing, constantly be working on, unlike a static goal where it's once you get there, you're like, okay, well, now I guess this goal was meaningless and now I need a new one to convince people is the right goal because I didn't have the right one in the first place. So now we got to go up here because this goal didn't mean anything. And now it's that one. Right. And so I think trying to find those recurring goals, and they're usually shorter term recurring metrics like that. So in a bookkeeping business, it's attrition. If you're running a pressure washer or window cleaning business or a landscaping business where you can get more work, it might be recurrent, like a repeat rate. The higher your repeat rate, the more likely that they like your service, right? And so that's the one thing you can control. It might be a client acquisition cost target on your marketing that you're going to keep chasing that. And you can keep trying to hit it every single month. It never goes away. And so I think those types of goals are so much healthier because they don't rely on that dopamine hit. It's a constant, like, let's get it this time. Let's get it this time. Let's get it this time. It never goes away. And it's way easier to align to your team. Unlike those football goals I talked about, where our goal was, let's go win the state championship. And everybody's like, yeah. How are we going to do that? Like, what does that mean? How are we going to do it? That's the same as like our revenue goal, right? We're going to do $2 million this year. Yeah. Okay. How? Right. So I think like that question leads you to where your goal should actually be like, oh man, if we're going to hit 2 million a year, maybe our goal is we're going to recruit, we're going to recruit every single month. And we want 100 applicants a month or 500 applicants a month. We're going to get really good at recruiting. So our goal is 500 applicants a month, and we're going to do what it takes to get that. Our goal is 100 leads a month or 200 leads a month or whatever, and we're going to do whatever it takes to do that. Or our goal is this acquisition cost on our leads to make sure that's in check. Or our goal is a 90% live answer rate on the phone. We don't want phone calls slipping through. We want people calling and getting the phone answered and booking work. Whatever it is where you can actually like control the thing, and those tend to become your metrics, right? Those are the metrics you look at to see if your business is successful. And so all of your metrics should have a goal, and that can be like the team's goal or that employee's goal. Like I said, our one metric and our one goal, like, sure, we're a bookkeeping company. We look at our financials like crazy. Our entire team looks at our financials. I look at them daily. I'm in my QuickBooks every day. I can't help it, but I don't have a goal. I'm interested in the result. Like, sure as hell, I look at our revenue and our profit and all of our percentages the whole way down, but my goal is 0% attrition. The P&L is the result, and it's just a business model, right? We can build the business model to hit the right percentages and whatever else, but so important to any recurring service businesses, you can't lose clients. If you lose clients, that creates a huge ripple effect on the rest of the business. So our goal is very clear to our team is we don't lose clients. We do whatever, like, we're priced right. Here's how we do our service. If we start losing clients, we got to reassess, like, can we do better? One of the things that I think is really important, and I don't know that I've always done a good job at this. And this is really one of my last thoughts for you guys on this, and then we're gonna shut her down. Aligning your goals with your core values, I think, is super, super important. I think part of the disconnect of those static dopamine hitting goals is I don't know anybody whose core value is make a shitload of money. Like, maybe it is. Maybe somebody's got that core value out there. But if our core values say, we work with integrity and we do this thing and we believe in advancement and we have all these core values for our team, and then we set a goal like revenue, it's like just a wild disconnect between here's what we tell you is important, but go get us that, right? It makes the core values almost sound like they're a fake. Like, oh, we really want you to go just make us a shitload of money, but here's the stuff we're going to use to fool you to work harder for us. I think it's super important to align your goals with your core values. Consistency is so important. Consistency is important when you're selling externally, right? From the brand to how you show up to how you deliver, talk about the service and the expectations you set to how you deliver the service. It's no different on the employee side. From the job ad that they read to the interview process that you have for them, to how you onboard a new employee, to how you train them, to how they get paid in the day in and day out. Aligning all of that is so important to having a good culture, again, with a bunch of happiness and a bunch of joy, which is at the end of the day what we're all trying to do here. We could all go get a job and make money. So don't tell me it's about money, right? We're here because we want to be happier than somebody in the corporate world. And part of that is the ability to like make our own money. I would much rather run a business and work my ass off to make $100,000 than go work for somebody else and get paid $100,000. That's just what makes me happy, right? And if you run your own business, it's probably very similar to you, is that you like being the one making the decisions and having the risk, and that's exciting and engaging and joyful, brings you happiness. Cool. But again, if your alignment between your core values and your goals is out of whack, you're going to have a team that's being told this is important, but told this is what we want you guys to go do. And I think if you can get your goals aligned with your core values, then it really starts to sink in. When I this is just like a revelation that I had today. So I haven't thought this through. Our core values at Best Damn Bookkeeping are the acronym BEST. A, we want to be the best, but B, the B stands for blessed, which is like positive attitude, good vibes. We don't want anybody here that's a piece of shit to work with. You got to be blessed. You got to have a good attitude. And I think that associates well with our attrition goal of that's part of keeping a client, is having a really good attitude and optimistic and positive. Like I hire for that, for account managers that can build really good relationships with their customers. That relationship is sticky when they know we give a lot of shits about them and we have a good attitude about it and we're here to help them. So I think that one's aligned. The E stands for efficient, which is, and I tell our team all the time, like, I don't want to catch anybody doing accounting for the sake of doing accounting. Like if you're doing accounting stuff, it better be creating valuable information for that business owner that they can take and make better decisions with to hit their goals. And so efficiency is really important to us, that we can't just be like billing people willy-nilly, right? We got to be thoughtful and mindful of what we're charging and how much we're charging and how long it takes us to do the thing. We got to be efficient. And for sure, if we are efficient and go faster and do better, that lowers our client attrition too. The S stands for steadfast, which is we got to have grit. We're going to run into tough client situations. We're going to run into tough accounting situations. We're going to run into things that we did wrong, and we got to own it and go back and fix it. And all of that is fine, but you got to work through it, right? If a client needs something on a Monday and it's a Friday and we got to work through it, we got to work through it. Let's figure it out. Let's get it done. And so I think that supports having lower attrition, is just putting our head down and getting stuff done when the going gets tough. And then the last one is trustworthy. And it just because it had to be with a T, I really like the word integrity better. We're touching people's data, right? We have to be on top of our game from an integrity standpoint. There's just that's like the most it's not a black and white term, but it's like the most black and white rule for us, is any lapse of integrity is like, you out of here. You just can't be here. So we got to say what we do, and then we got to do what we say. And again, I think that aligns well with our main goal of zero client attrition, is our clients need to trust us. We need to have the most ridiculous amount of integrity so our clients know they can always count on us. Again, I hadn't even thought that through. I'm just like saying out loud, and I'm like trying to prove to myself that is a good goal for us, that it does align with our core values. And so my employees are hearing me say, hey, here's our core values and here's what's important to us. But also they're hearing me say, hey, we don't lose clients, and this aligns with our core values based on how we have those set up. So I think when you're setting your goals, again, I'm not saying don't use any static goals, but man, I can't even come up right now on the fly with like a scenario where I think a static goal is better than a recurring one. Cause again, they end up being self-defeating. Either you come up short and there's a ho-hum culture deflating moment or hangover, or you hit it and then there's a now what sort of thing. And so I really like those recurring goals, and not that they can't be revenue focused, right? I'm just saying, like, don't make the revenue be the goal. Make the lever that pulls the revenue be the goal. For us, attrition is a huge impact on our revenue, right? If we don't lose clients, our revenue is going to be really strong because it's a recurring service business. So yeah, like revenue is there, but it isn't the goal. It's the result. So make sure you're not setting I'm going to write that one down too. Because this is we're making the sausage here. I can't even spell goal right now. Multitasking is so hard, you guys. Goal should be focused on the behavior and not the result. Boom. But yeah, revenue is the result, right? There's these behaviors, there's these core values that we want to focus on, and the metric that leads to the end result of more revenue, more profit, whatever. I think that's the important stuff. And in all of that, I'll leave you with this. Just make sure it's something that you can control, right? And I see this happen with pay-per performance things where people create bonus plans on stuff that the person they've given it to can't even control. I remember that in the corporate world, like we had an annual bonus tied to profitability. And I was just like, this is just so meaningless. Like again, it's super self-defeating. It becomes an expectation that we'd get a bonus. And then if we don't, then everybody's pissed. If we do, all it is we met expectations. Like we thought we'd get a bonus. So culture-wise, it was always a downer. Because everybody is pissed if the bonus didn't come, and it wasn't relevant to you as an individual, right? It was relevant to the company. And I get that, like we're all on the same team, but we have 800 some people, right? It's out of my control. And so I think goals need to be within the control of the business, of the person. And you can have company-wide goals and personal goals for sure, right? Everybody can kind of control their own metrics. But again, focus on goals that can be controlled, focus on goals that are recurring, that if you get off track, you have a quick turn to be able to get back on track, and focus on goals that aren't self-defeating, that aren't those like static, either we come up short and get disappointed, or we get there and then have a letdown moment. I think that's it. I think that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed my goal monologue. I said, I'm going to keep working on this. Throw me some comments, throw me some love, some hate, whatever you got. I'm going to keep working on it until I can deliver a eloquent presentation from stage. And until next time, I need to, you know what I need to do? Got to play some playoff. I'll be on tonight. Who do I got on tonight? I got a fun one tonight. I got Ashley from One Love Social on, and I got Brandon Fowler from the Trash Can Cleaner. I'm talking about bin cleaning. We're gonna have some fun doing it. Dang it! So join us tonight, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern, right back here wherever you're finding me now. And go check us out on the podcast. Note, if you go download the podcast, there's like 2 home service happy hours out there. One that ended like a year or so ago. One that is still going. Go get the one that's still going. We had to get a new feed. So until next time, you guys know what to do. Work smarter and harder. And set some damn good goals. Go get them. Peace.